explaining domain expansions inside of Jujutsu Shenanigans, and telling you facts that you probably didn't know about them. Here are what are domain expansions, pause if you want to read them, and now let's get started. First domain expansion, it's going to be Unlimited Void. Just be careful with something, every domain expansion in the game can be actually cancelled by just one M1, so yeah, be careful with that. But basically, Gojo's domain expansion traps everyone inside of a barrier where everyone inside of the domain will literally be unable to do anything. They cannot use evasive, they cannot use their moves, they're basically fucked for 18 seconds. So yeah, be careful with that. And something bad for the opponent also, if you actually activated your ultimate and someone trapped you in Gojo's domain expansion, you will still literally have the ultimate drain and the opponent can literally just kill you. So yeah, be careful. And by the way, Gojo's domain expansion is the only domain in the game to actually have a variant. And to activate the variant of the domain, you can basically just use your ultimate, then use your special, and then boom, you have your domain expansion, 0 to 2 seconds, Unlimited Void, where you go super fast and deal a lot of damage and literally would wipe the floor with anyone with this domain, and you can even stun them for the first 2 turns. Next domain. Sukuna's domain expansion is actually a domain with a barrier instead of being a barrierless domain like in the anime, but the thing about this domain is the same as the anime, where everyone inside of the domain would be fucked because they would be actually get constant damage until they're dead. Yeah, it's cool, I guess. Best way to actually counter Sukuna's domain expansion is to actually use block, because it's gonna actually reduce the damage and prevent you from dying. Yes, I know Sukuna can still damage you with like open or actually rush, or you can actually hide like a coward inside of the Malevolent itself. Next domain we're going to do is going to be Idle Death Gamble, and this domain is unique. It's one of the only domains where it's actually part of the ultimate, where basically when we trap someone inside of the domain, when you use your moves, like for the example the first 2 moves, you're gonna actually go gamble, and the scenario will happen. If the scenario actually succeeds and the dummy actually pass, you will get a jackpot and the ultimate. But if you actually don't land the scene, well, yeah, it's not. You're gonna need to reroll, and no. Using your counter or using your force move in the air will not count as gambling, but if you actually land them, you can actually go gamble. So yeah, be careful with that. And on the first try, you can actually get a guaranteed jackpot. So it's going to be a win-win situation unless you're fighting someone sweaty and you're running away from them. So yeah, be careful with that. And by the way, you cannot cancel the domain expansion because, well, you do realize the fucking domain expansion is like part of the ultimate and have iframes where you can, and after you get the jackpot, you can literally just fuck the opponents. And by the way, just to let you know, if you're actually in a scenario and use your moves, you're not going to actually be gambling. And oh, I had a jackpot on like first try. Guess I'm the luckiest nerve plush, I guess. And to the 3 Megumi fans who is not calling him a fraud, no, Megumi's Shadow Swarm or even Mahoraga is not a domain inside of the game, okay? Next domain expansion is going to be Self-Embodiment of Perfection from Mahito. Mahito's domain expansion basically traps the opponent inside of a barrier domain where basically there's a timer or a bar next to them, and whenever Mahito gets close to them, the bar gonna start decreasing until it's 0 and the opponent is fucked. Besides the fact that the domain expansion is OP and all, but I actually have the longest wind up, so everyone can cancel it, so be careful. And yes, you can actually kill people, like multiple people at the same time, so yeah, be careful. Next domain expansion is going to be Deadly Sentencing. This actually is one of unique domains with actually it's part of the ultimate where it have iframes, so you cannot actually cancel the domain expansion. It's basically like a courtroom where if you guess what's your opponent going to guess, you're going to get a bar. For example, I'm going to use silence and my opponent goes with silence, the bar gonna fail. When the bar is like 2 or 3, I can actually give the ultimate. And yeah, I can actually, if I press the ultimate again, I can literally take one of my opponent's moves, literally making them lose 2 moves for 80 seconds. And yes, this actually carries for their ultimate. where literally they would be fucked for 80 seconds. And there's a big problem with the domain, where if you actually pop the domain with no one inside of it, the domain gonna actually break and you will just get 50% of your ultimate back. And if your friend is on Jackpot, by the way, you can activate the domain expansion, where your friend can literally stack infinite amount of literally special, and literally he would go literally Super Saiyan, bro. Like, what the hell, man? And the domain can actually last 5 minutes, so your friend would be literally cooking with all of this. And by the way, you cannot damage anyone inside of the domain. And no, you cannot, as a Higuruma, damage anyone inside of the domain expansion. So yeah. And if you and your opponent actually use Confess, then you will immediately get your ultimate and they're gonna lose one of their moves. And yeah, actually, Higuruma is one of the only characters who can actually kill a Hakari even with Jackpot. Pretty neat. Next domain expansion is going to be Yuta's domain expansion. Just to explain it shortly, basically there's these swords that you need to hit your opponent to fill this bar, and when you fill the bar you get this very cool Jacob Ladder ability. Just let me show you for it. Let me show you. And by the way, if you hit someone with it, they're gonna actually drain their ultimate bar, even if they're not an awakening. So yeah. Next domain expansion basically is Naoya's domain, but before you use it, just be sure to use the third move, because when you use the domain expansion, you would basically just lose a fucking ultimate. And basically how it works, when someone moves inside of the domain, they're gonna get damaged. And yeah, even if you move them, they're actually gonna get damage. So be careful. Yeah, this domain looks ugly and all, but yes, it's really powerful. That's it for the video. Are you mad because I didn't actually count Heian Urasukuna because he's not in the vanilla game? Let me know in the comments. And I'm very thankful for everyone who subscribed and watched my videos. And always, hasta luego, and always stay safe.